Stations of the Cross with all of creation. The Church has a responsibility towards creation, and she considers it her duty to exercise that responsibility in public life, in order to protect earth, water, and air as gifts of God the Creator meant for everyone, and above all, to save humanity from the danger of self-destruction. Can we remain indifferent before the problems associated with such realities as climate change, desertification, the deterioration and loss of productivity in vast agricultural areas, the pollution of rivers and aquifers, the loss of biodiversity, the increase of natural catastrophes, and the deforestation of equatorial and tropical regions? Can we remain impassive in the face of the actual and potential conflicts involving access to natural resources? All these are issues with a profound impact on the exercise of human rights, such as the right to life, food, health, and development. Seeing creation as God's gift to humanity helps us understand our vocation and worth as human beings. Contemplating the beauty of creation inspires us to recognize the love of the Creator.
First station, Jesus is condemned to death, environmental destruction. We experience the heartlessness and injustice of Jesus' condemnation, he who has done no wrong. The pace of environmental destruction is increasing. Natural resources are depleted. Toxics are polluting our environment. Animals and plants are becoming extinct, and people are being poisoned. Isaiah 24, 4-5. Earth dries up and withers. The world languishes and withers. The heavens languish together with earth. Earth lies polluted under its inhabitants, for they have transgressed laws, violated the statutes, broken the everlasting covenant. The cross in all of creation. As God cares for all of creation, we are called into a loving relationship with all. In alienating ourselves from earth, we separate ourselves from God and one another. We are called to reconciliation with all of creation.
Second station, Jesus takes up the cross, our role in Earth's devastation. We experience through Jesus his disappointment, pain, weariness, and suffering. Our human role in Earth's devastation has become an urgent question, unique to our place in history. The fate of the earth is in our hands. Mark 14:37-38. He came and found them sleeping, and he said to Peter, "Simon, are you asleep? Could you not keep awake 1 hour? Keep awake and pray that you may not come into the time of trial." The cross in all of creation. On the one hand, we gaze in wonder at the world. On the other hand, we are wasting the world. These are signs of our Earth's times and should be filled with meaning for people of faith. But the odd thing is that, with some notable exceptions, many religious people and the church as a whole are curiously silent about the earth. We are like the disciples asleep in the Garden of Gethsemane while earth undergoes its passion and death.
Third station, Jesus falls the first time. Most vulnerable first to collapse. Jesus was in agony and prayed to be given strength to endure his suffering. Caring for God's creation and working for justice with people who are poor are inseparable missions in today's world. Proverbs 31:8-9. Speak out for those who cannot speak, for the rights of all the destitute. Speak out, judge righteously, and defend the rights of the poor and needy. The cross in all of creation. The decision of a major U.S. garment corporation to produce jeans in Lesotho, Africa, promised to boost the economy of one of the world's poorest nations. Before long, tons of dangerous waste was being dumped into municipal landfills, where child rag pickers fight for scraps among denim, needles, razors, and harmful chemicals. The dumps are always on fire, spewing toxic chemicals into the air. And the river, which is used for cooking water and bathing, has turned blue and is full of chemical effluent.
Fourth station. Jesus meets his mother. Earth as mother. From the beginning, Mary shared the life of her son, including the awakening to his call and the dangers of speaking against oppression and injustice. Praise be you, God, through our sister, Mother Earth, who sustains and governs us, and who produces various fruit with colored flowers and herbs. Romans 8:22. We know that the whole creation has been groaning in labor pains. The cross in all of creation. In our way of life, with every decision we make, we always keep in mind the 7th generation of children to come. When we walk upon Mother Earth, we always plant our feet carefully because we know that the faces of future generations are looking up at us from beneath the ground. We never forget them.
Fifth station, Simon is recruited to help Jesus live simply so others may simply live. Simon is pressed into helping Jesus carry the cross. Our modern lifestyle puts a heavy burden on earth. 1 Corinthians 12:24-26. But God has so arranged the body, each one of them as God chose. If one member suffers, all suffer together with it. If one member is honored, all rejoice together with it. The cross in all of creation. The true cost of living the modern lifestyle is not measured by what we pay at the cash register. Rather, it is measured by what we do to the rivers, valleys, oceans, and land. Whatever we do to earth, we do to ourselves and to the most vulnerable among us.
Sixth station, Veronica wipes the face of Jesus. How do we wipe the face of earth? In spite of the anger and rejection of Jesus by the crowd, Veronica was strong and courageous enough to minister to Jesus with gentleness and compassion. If we learn to love earth, we will find labyrinths, gardens, fountains, and precious jewels. A whole new world will open itself to us. We will discover what it means to be truly alive. Genesis 1:28. God blessed them and said, "Bear fruit, increase your numbers, and fill the earth, and be responsible for it. Watch over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and all the living things on earth." The cross in all of creation. A community of 100 citizens in Stella, Illinois, practices sustainable living in its use of solar energy, community gardening, farming, and cooperative utility plants. Their commitment to conservation is an example of compassionate care of earth.
Seventh station. Jesus falls a second time. The extinction of species. In the face of violence and derision, Jesus falls again. In the last quarter of the 20th century, 20% of all living species have become extinct. Places have had to change their official trees, animals, or flowers. There are no chestnuts on Chestnut Lane, no caribou in Caribou, Maine. Psalm 50, 10-11. For every animal of the forest is mine, beasts by the thousands on my mountains. I know every bird of the heavens, the creatures of the field belong to me. The cross in all of creation. When these living beings, these magnificent plants and animals, go extinct, they never come back again. We are killing birth itself, wiping out the future of our fellow creatures who took millions of years to evolve. We live in a time of a great dying off.
Eighth station, women of Jerusalem weep. Weeping water. We read that women beat their breasts and lamented over Jesus. The wondrous cycle of Earth's life-giving water unites all of creation. Disregard for water conservation is threatening life in every corner of the globe. Parched deserts and cities, destroyed wetlands, contaminated waterways, and dying children and animals. 2.5 billion people in the world lack access to safe water and basic sanitation. Jeremiah 9:10. Take up weeping and wailing for the mountains and a lamentation for the pastures of the wilderness, because they are laid to waste. The cross in all of creation. Netwatikia of Tanzania used to have to collect scarce, polluted water for her family. She said, "The situation here used to be bleak. There was no water, and we had to dig pits to find some. Can you imagine what it was like? My legs used to shake with fear before climbing down those holes. There was no choice. If I didn't get water, my family couldn't eat, wash, or even have a drink." A recent water development project funded by an international NGO now provides safe, clean water for Netwatikia and her family.
Ninth station. Jesus falls a third time. Gasping for air. Jesus' body and spirit were being broken, yet he struggled to continue his march. Earth's atmosphere is gasping for breath, choked by contamination and pollution. An estimated quarter of the world's population is exposed to unhealthy concentrations of air pollutants. Nearly 2 million children under 5 years of age die annually from acute respiratory infections. Job 33:4. The Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of God gives me life. The cross and all of creation. My name is Rajana Jackson, and I am 6 years old. I have trouble breathing all the time. When I am sleeping, I have to use a breathing machine, and the doctors are surprised that I can't get better. I live in Mossville, and it has big plants that spit fire and toxins. I see lots of sick people, and I ask my mother why. Mossville, Louisiana is surrounded by 14 industrial facilities, including the largest concentration of vinyl production facilities, an oil refinery, a coal-fired power plant, and several petrochemical manufacturers.
10th station. Jesus is stripped of his garments. Deforestation. The last vestige of dignity is taken away from Jesus. He is totally demeaned and vulnerable. Almost half of the forests that once covered the earth are gone. The acceleration of global deforestation leaves ecosystems vulnerable and degrades Earth's atmosphere. Matthew 27:28 through 29. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and after twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on his head. They put a reed in his right hand and knelt before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews." The cross in all of creation. Dorothy Stang, a sister of Notre Dame de Namur, went to Brazil in 1966 to be with the peasants as a spiritual guide and advocate. Her journey for justice ended on February 12, 2005, when she was murdered for working to save the Amazon rainforest from overlogging and supporting poor farmers who were being driven from their land. She was laid to rest among her people under a mango tree, with a promise of hope that they were not burying her, but they were planting her, and her spirit of care for our earth community would be part of them forever.
11th station. Jesus is nailed to the cross. Dependence on fossil fuels. After having been tortured on his way to death, Jesus is crucified, the worst form of execution in the Roman Empire. Fossil fuel dependence causes environmental devastation and fuels war and conflict. 2 Corinthians 12, 9 through 10. I am glad to be a living demonstration of Christ's power, for when I am weak, then I am strong. The less I have, the more I depend on God. The cross in all of creation. Buried below the boreal forest of northern Alberta, Canada, is one of the world's largest oil deposits known as the tar sands. Extracting the oil comes at great environmental costs, including greenhouse gas emissions, toxic leaking, diversion and consumption of natural water resources, and habitat devastation. The Canadian boreal forest provides climate regulation and carbon storage for Earth. Its ecosystem is the breeding ground for over 30% of North American birds.
12th station, Jesus dies on the cross. Luke tells us, the sun was hidden and darkness came over the whole land until mid-afternoon. And at that time the curtain of the sanctuary was torn in two. Then Jesus gave a loud cry, Abba, I commit my spirit into your hands. And after he said that, he gave up his spirit. There are times when all seems lost, even to those of us who are the most optimistic. To whom and to what do we turn in these darkest of days? Hosea 4:3. Therefore the land mourns, and all who live in it languish. Together with the wild animals and the birds of the air, even the fish of the sea are perishing.
Thirteenth station. Jesus is taken down. Hope. Joseph of Arimathea took the body of Jesus down from the cross and wrapped it in a clean linen sheet. Joseph, in spite of the violent mood surrounding him, was bold enough to ask for the body of his beloved friend. Despite the challenge, there are many people in the world today courageously taking action to renew their covenant with earth. Deuteronomy 8, 7 through 11. Our God is bringing us into a good land. All will be satisfied. The cross in all of creation. We shall awaken from our dullness and rise vigorously toward justice. If we fall in love with creation deeper and deeper, we will respond to its endangerment with passion.
14th station. Jesus is buried. Buried seeds. Joseph of Arimathea laid Jesus in his own tomb, which had been hewn from a formation of rock. We wait with eager anticipation for the coming of a sustainable future for all of creation. Matthew 13, 31 to 32. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all seeds, but when it has grown, it is the greatest of shrubs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches. The cross in all of creation. As the bread and wine are transformed into the body and blood of Christ for our nourishment, we are challenged to promote this harmony between humans and the rest of creation by the way we live our lives.
15th station, the resurrection, new earth. Mary Magdalene came to Jesus' tomb on Sunday morning to offer respect to the dead. To her wondrous surprise, the tomb was empty, and her teacher was calling her by name. Mary Magdalene, who must have experienced profound grief, perhaps remorse, was now offered hope and new life. Revelation 21:1. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. The cross in all of creation. Another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing.
Prayer for creation. God of love, show us our place in this world as channels of your love for all the creatures of this earth, for not one of them is forgotten in your sight. Enlighten those who possess power and money, that they may avoid the sin of indifference, that they may love the common good, advance the weak, and care for this world in which we live. The poor and the earth are crying out, O Lord, seize us with your power and light. Help us to protect all life, to prepare for a better future, for the coming of your kingdom of justice, peace, love, and beauty. Praise be to you. Amen.